I'm so delighted to see you today, and thank you so much for making you available for this
Thank you.
call because
Welcome.
I see that beautiful ostrich behind you. Oh my God, I'm such a big
Oh
fan
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
yours. I'm such a big fan of Greenfingers wildlife. This is incredible. So I took some time. I wanted to have my background as Greenfingers, and I am just you know that we don't need to follow celebrities. We have celebrities around us, and you're one of those celebrities. All the incredible work that you guys do in wildlife, animal welfare, and how this project came up about.
I can remember
Yeah.
far back. It started way. I remember I was way young. I was still in I think high school, but in the junior high school,
Oh,
and I could remember myself. Sorry,
yeah,
the
no, not at all. It's good background voice
okay,
from the lovely
okay.
people.
So we had. I've always had this love for the wild, for nature, for animals, for just being around them, and it's always been a thing I remember quite far back. But anyway, growing up here in Nigeria, I didn't have anywhere I could. And even as at then, we didn't have National Geographic channels. We didn't have those channels on TV
Yeah.
to be able to inspire me to like want to, oh wow, sit down and watch and learn about these things. Sometimes I would see one or two things, but it wasn't really enough. So I would spend my time outdoors with birds, like just domestic birds, chickens, turkeys, pigeons, my ants in a jar, I would just be
Yeah.
watching them, fascinated by basically by all that. And it's actually what it's been for it was that for quite a long time. I wanted my dad. I was going to school. I wanted my dad to get me a pet. I got a rabbit.
Yeah.
I couldn't separate myself from the rabbit. I would go to boarding school. I'll take the rabbit along with me. So it's always been there. And whenever I lose any one of them, maybe because of anything, I could feel how much pain. I could remember how much pain I would feel
Yes.
when
Yeah.
I would lose any one of these animals to
Yes.
anything. So basically, it became the process basically continued until one of the days when I told my dad, I wanted another pet. So he took me to this space where I remember vividly animals were being sold
Right.
in that space.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it was like, as at then, I can remember it's when I was like 10 years old, it's my 10th birthday.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it was like, wow, heaven, because I've never been in a space like this with a lot of animals.
Right.
Um, because there was no real space in Nigeria, Lagos here, as at that time, to go and see this wildlife. But I could remember all the animals being cramped up in those cages all over the place. And it was for
Yeah.
me, it was quite a shocking. It's not
Right.
shocking then,
Yeah.
exciting
Yeah.
for me as at then.
Yeah.
But I got the pets. I took it home. I would tell my parents I want to study veterinary medicine.
Mm.
They were like, no, 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 you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't make any money off it when you're in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So go and study medicine, like human
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah.
So they pushed me towards studying the human medicine. And in that process, I studied biomedical sciences first. I did my master's in public health.
Yeah.
And because I knew I didn't want to be there, so I was kind of like prolonging the whole process. But then again, I finally ended up studying. I went to study medicine in Northumbria University in Newcastle.
Oh,
But I know throughout my stay in the UK, I studied in the UK. So throughout my stay in the UK,
yeah.
every holiday I would spend my holidays visiting pet shops, zoos. I would visit everything, everywhere, because
Wow.
I just wanted. I still had that love. I didn't keep
Yes.
any animal as a then. Um, so my dad passed in 2012. So I stopped schooling. So I
Mm.
cut the med school
Yeah.
sort of at its beginning, sort of.
Yeah.
So I came back down to Nigeria, and I got to work in a school nearby, just because I loved the whole aspect of teaching, education. But the school had a space. So the school had a land that was basically deserted. I mean, they had no plans for it whatsoever. They felt they were going to use it in the future for something. So I approached them. I said, I would like to do something here. I would like to see what I can do. I had no idea what it was I wanted to do, but I felt I had something. I just wanted a space where maybe I could keep a few animals, just spend some time. Then I remembered I visited that market my father took me to when I was 10. Now, this is basically like 15 years later. I visited that same market. And shockingly, the state at which those animals were as of then was the same thing. But this time, I was not going there now like a 10-year-old boy excited that animals, wow, I'm seeing animals, because I have seen what it takes to keep animals. I have learned what it takes to. But I was more of disgusted now. Disgust was what filled me, anger, bitterness, because the animals were very, very abused. And I knew that something had to be done. Something has to change concerning wildlife here in Nigeria. So I took it upon myself that, you know what, I'm going to do as much as I can. I remember growing up, I said my parents wouldn't encourage the whole idea of the process of wanting to love wildlife. But I said I would be the person who would encourage every other young person who was like me as of then to explore that gift, to explore that natural intelligence that they had. So I started off gradually in 2012 working. So I was working in the school. When they pay me my salary, I'll use my salary. I'll come to the put up some structure in the sanctuary. We'll get out there, go find the animals where they are, in certain kind of spaces. And that process kept on going on. People were wondering, what was I doing? Were asking me, why are you doing this? That this is nothing. I mean, you're wasting your time in Nigeria. This is the wrong choice. You're in the wrong country. Because, and I mean, over time, we are still, we are learning, we are seeing the problems. The problems is glaring us straight in the face. We're facing it. We're trying our best as much as possible to see how we can alleviate, reduce, try to curb the problem, because the truth of the matter is a lot of Nigerians don't care about wildlife. That is the major consensus. Wildlife is the least of our worries. So what we do, we kill, we eat, we use for whatever purpose we want to use. But after looking through the years when the sanctuary was set up, and I've started to see a different side. Now, you can see now they're beginning to see, oh, wow, I didn't know that wildlife could be this interesting, wildlife could be this fascinating. But it's always somebody looking for somebody who will start the process, someone who will get the ball rolling, you understand? And I think that's what we've been able to create within this space, a space for animals. I mean, and these animals are not just animals gotten from anywhere. These animals have been through a lot of problems, a lot of trauma. Some of them have been highly abused. Some of them have almost gotten to the point of being killed for one thing or the other. And we're giving them a second chance, a space where they can relive most of their days. If possible, when we get the right opportunities and right chances, they get back into a bigger wild space. But over the years, that is what we've committed ourselves to do. It's not one of the easiest jobs, I must say. It's one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my entire life. Even studying medicine cannot compare to this, but it's fascinating. It's amazing. I think it's because of the passion and the love for it that, despite the difficult moments, despite the hard times, I've still been able to find that energy or that strength to say, give it one more shot, you can do something else, and that's what's really kept us all these years.
So tell us more about your rescue yesterday at the sea. How did it go? And
I mean, with every sea turtle rescue, I mean, it gets. I mean, our eyes are always opened up to something new and something different.
Okay.
Even earlier, just last week, we rescued another sea turtle, and we discovered that this sea turtle, by the time we kept her overnight within the sanctuary, by morning we started seeing plastic in the water where we kept her, and we knew we didn't put any plastic in there, only for us to discover that her feces are full of plastic. Like
Yes.
we're wrapped in plastic.
My God. I saw
And
that
I mean
post
that
of yours.
it was a big shock because we talk about it. We talk about plastic, the issues of plastic, but having to see one, it's like the sea turtles. What it was just trying to tell us that
Yeah.
look at me. This is the
Yeah.
state at which animals are being treated are being treated in the ocean at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think it was a call, really a call to question. Now that's for that one. But we saw the second, the next one, the one we rescued today. I mean, yesterday. It was so she beached. She came to shores to the beach to lay her eggs. She was picked up immediately. People wanted to use her for food, so we got called by some good Samaritans. So we had to rush there. We picked her up, but I took her to the vet first to ensure that everything was okay. And we checked. We found out that she still had her eggs within her, and it was actually one of the strangest things we've seen. So we felt okay. Let's keep her overnight and see if the eggs she would lay there. She would release the eggs. Thankfully, she didn't because it would have been. Nigeria is not really prepared for these kind of emergencies.
All right.
We're not equipped for it yet, and these are the things we really have to really want to start looking into. So we kept her. Then this afternoon, this afternoon, we felt the best thing for her right now would be to put her back into the sea. She'll come back on shore, maybe at a different location, to release those eggs. Hopefully, we're praying that it's successful and she lays the eggs and gets back out to sea rather than being captured. So these are the that basically whole process that happened today, and I'll share it very soon for people to understand because. I mean, and it's not just sea turtles. I mean, sea turtles, yes, they are one of the ones that are very conspicuous, big, because you can see them, how big they are. But there are other smaller animals that are facing the same issues, and that needs to change. That something needs to be done about it, and that's really why we are advocating for this kind of change here in Nigeria, and hopeful, really, really, really hopeful that something comes through.
I started my own NGO called Awesome Love NGO. Awesome Love, a mobile NGO, because me and some of my friends in the community, we had our own bicycles, we had our own scooters. So we would go out in the community seeing that which dog or cat or a calf or a donkey is hungry or starving or is malnutrition or had any issues, skin issues or injuries. So we would call the other bigger NGOs and ask for help. So this is the work that we were doing as a part of Awesome Love mobile NGO. And it carried on from, I think, 2010 to 2020. And after that, I moved to Ireland. And that's where, like when you change your country, a lot of things changes for you. I was the one sole driver for all that work that we were doing in our community. But when I went away, there was no such encouragement in people to do that. So like as you are there in Lagos, you are a leader for everybody. You are encouraging your community to do that work. So there is always a driving force behind it. And I see that you have a purpose. I think I had a purpose that back then, but I forgot that purpose. So when I see people like you who have sacrificed their life, you could have done an IT or a tech job, or you could have built your career into medicine and have made a lot of money, but you decided to choose your passion. You decided to live for the real cause, environmental cause, for these lovely animals. They are suffering every single day.
You know what I see here in Nigeria, despite the lack of empathy, and you would notice, for example, we're in the festive season right now. I'm having calls. People are calling me up and saying, "Oh, I saw this. I saw a wildlife kind of like sanctuary around. Are you guys functional? Are you guys? I would love to take my children to come and see it."
Right.
So I'm seeing people are interested. They want to give their children, their young ones, an experience that they know that they will love.
Right.
So if you know that this is what your children would love,
Yeah.
will you not take a step further
Yes.
to encourage, to ensure that these things will be
Sure.
there for
Sure.
your children to
Yes.
have a look? So
Absolutely.
and this cuts across every just not just the low income people, from
Yeah.
the middle class, even the upper class. It cuts
Yeah.
across all of them, looking for, oh, where do I go this festive season? Where do I go and entertain myself? Where do I go and enjoy where do I go and excite myself with sights and sounds? And that's the issue. We have these places. We have this desire to want to see the animals. We want have this desire. We want to see. I actually want to come up close to an animal. I'm fascinated by it, but we are not taking the step, the actual step, to ensure that they are conserved. So we are talking about this. I mean, there's really no proper, and I mean proper, will I say, or a standard facility for wildlife in Nigeria. It's just no proper standard facility. And it's a problem, because I'm talking about governors, presidents. It's been years of. Why have we failed to accomplish this? Why have we failed to achieve this? Yes, we understand the other issues, the other problems with poverty, with hunger, and all the other things. But within the government body, there are ministries. There's a ministry in charge of wildlife. There's a ministry in charge, and these ministries get money. They are being funded heavily to look after these things. But the problem we are seeing here, I mean, it will shock you. Because we said we are a sanctuary, because we said we are a sanctuary. So we have for example, if the government makes a seizure of any wildlife, they will bring it to us. They'll bring it to us and just dump the animals with us and just disappear. I mean, have no contact. How is the animal going to feed? We don't really care. It's not their problem. And we are left with this kind of huge burden that we have to carry. And these are the difficulties that we face basically on a daily basis. I can remember when we first started. I mean, for the first 6 years, I mean, we had nobody. Because it was, for us, it was, so basically I depend, because I worked, I had to have a job. So I was, and because I was staying back at home. I was staying in my parents' house. So there was nothing. I would just basically convert my salary to the wild animal food to pay some of the staff. I mean, and ever since it's been growing, I mean, the demands from the animals have increased. The types of animals we've been keeping have increased. I mean, right now I'm speaking about 54 different species of animals. The demand is quite huge. Even right now, I mean, the donations. We do have few people who are donating, and they're doing their best. I really appreciate all those people who support us, whether on LinkedIn, here locally, in Nigeria. But it's still not really giving us that much empowerment to do the kind of impact, make the kind of impact we want to make. I was talking about, like, this coming year, we are looking at jumping into an educational program, a major educational program that will cut across schools, public schools all across here in Nigeria. And it will really require a lot of support for that to kick off, for that to work, for that also to be effective. And I know it can be effective because we've seen it in the little ones which we've been able to do. Then within the sanctuary also, there are a lot of there's still a lot of, we've had a lot of like, for example, there's a time of the where we have like heavy rains, strong winds. Some of our structures were pushed down. We're still looking for support to be able to have these structures back up. Trying to get an educational center within the sanctuary also. There are quite a lot of needs we really have right here, especially within the sanctuary also, to ensure that the animals get the best service and the best treatment, I must say. And that's for me, it is priority. I mean, I count that as most. And one other thing, why we have not been able to, and people, so we are not necessarily like open to the public. So it's not like we get money from people coming in. We don't actually, it's very, very limited. So for 10 years now, A lot, even within the neighborhood, a lot of people still don't know we exist here.
Okay.
Because we have the priority for us is to ensure that the animals' well-beings are protected, they're
Yeah.
safe. They've been through a lot of problems. I can't put them back in the hands of the people who wanted them dead in the first place.
Yeah.
So these are the challenges when it comes to support funding is quite huge. Then another thing I've noticed, especially here in Nigeria, we've written to companies, organizations, but they still don't get it. They still don't understand. I mean, I see them, they put a lot of money into maybe planting trees, plastic stuff, things that have to do with plastic, maybe, I don't know. But when it comes to the wildlife, it's like they don't really, I don't know why, but it's one of the most difficult things. And still, we've not yet been able to reach that far. So we are still quite, recently I did a kind of like a plea on LinkedIn for some people to support us in like trying to acquire a fridge, a freezer that we could use for some of the to keep for our storage for some of the animals food. So and these needs are, a lot of needs are still there, but I can only based on courtesy, I can only ask for a little at a time if I must say so.
Right.
With people who, organizations who are willing. I try to, as much as possible, we try as much as possible to support even smaller organizations, young people that are coming up, trying to build their own organization. We see how we can, but many of them not on animal welfare. I hardly have seen any organization that is doing anything with animal welfare here in Nigeria. So I think for us, we're just the people doing this kind of a thing that I have seen so far. The rest are like zoos, and they use them for like business, the animals for like business and things like that, which we have no kind of like hand in all those things. So but we are definitely open to collaborate, and just for the sake of helping out.
Well, we will definitely try and to raise this voice and spread it out in Ireland. We'll try our best. I'm so proud of you. You decided to go back and you tried to challenge the society. You stayed there, you stick with that, and you've already reached so far, and I'm sure it's gonna grow very, very strong, and the impact will happen.
But I think my focus has always been the animals. So even during the process of all those when I could see the posts and the things like that, I said, you know what, focus. The animals are, as far as they are fed, they are okay. People would definitely do what they have to do, but just keep focus. We kept our focus basically, and I think that's what sustained us this to come this far.
Right. And so a lot of people are gonna watch this conversation on LinkedIn, and I'll try to spread the word more and more in 2023. And this is gonna be my project for 2023, to raise as much as awareness of really great projects like yours going on around the world, and to raise more and more awareness about people who are so empathetic.
So everyone should understand that. When we were not just placed on this earth to live for just ourselves. We live for others, and we live for nature and everything that is basically around us. And we must understand that we need them to survive. I once read a quote that says, if every other of our animals should die out, humans will not survive. We can't even live with ourselves. We will not survive. But if every human was to die out, the world will still flourish. Nature will flourish. The ecosystem will still be balanced. Now, that tells us that in as much as we see we are not even needed in the picture, the fact that we share the environment with these animals, we should be honored. We should respect our place and respect their place in the ecosystem, and do everything we can to see how we can support and balance that ecosystem. Now, some people may not do it directly like we are doing, for example, but you can support the cause, you can share the message, you can help one way or the other to be a part of this fight. There are people out there who are doing the right thing. I can assure you of that. They might not be the most popular, they might not be the most famous, but they are down there at the grassroots level fighting the hardest for these little guys.
Real celebrities.
Do our best to push them. I've used every means possible. I've used LinkedIn, I've used social media, but personal direct contact, I may not know many of them. I don't actually know many of them. So
Okay.
it's more about how can we get connected to these people? And
Yeah.
if we, I mean, like I always tell them, put me in the room with them. I'll convince them why they
Yes.
need to
Yes.
support wildlife. You
Definitely.
know, those kind of
Right.
things. It's really looking out for them, which is what we are still we keep doing every time. Actually, as
Mm,
much as we can. People are
okay.
following, and we're still spreading the same message. You know, it's all we can really do right now.
Yes. Our actions um, are causing a lot of bad impact to the life of animals and everything that is associated to us around the world. Um, yeah, it's saddening. It's very saddening, but I think in this space alone, we can do a little, but with the support and with collaboration, we can do a lot. So we need people to help us. We need people to come and work with us, and we to be conscious of our own actions, and support and help each other, help and bring similar like-minded people together in this cause, in this journey. You are an inspiration, and you are a real celebrity.